Hello and welcome back to Johnny B. Slow. And we're going to be doing some programming today. Before we do that, we need to change a few things that I don't like on this form. Right here where it says, please enter your ID, that's a bit too long. I want it to match up with the text box and the buttons right here. Alright, let's go ahead and change that. We're going to get rid of this your. And just keep it simple. Your, please enter ID. And here where it says label 2, let's change that. I want it to read message instead. And also we need to give it a name, a property name. Let's scroll down to names, and we want to give it LBL, stands for label message. Okay. Now let's go ahead and place our cursor about right here, and let's double click, and it will bring us to our form coding. All right. So we have a little string of code right here, and this is actually a method. It's called a method, and you will see open bracket and a close bracket. On the close bracket, get behind the close bracket, and let's press enter a few times. Give us some room to write our code. Now we're going to be creating another method which contains a function. All right, so let's get started. And we're going to start off by saying private. If you notice when we type, you would see some words at the bottom in like a list. We want private. Just double click on that. Private void. And we're going to call this method uh, button click underscore click. It's very important that you don't put any spaces when we're writing codes. Okay, and we're going to have a parentheses. When you type like one parenthesis, then it will automatically give you the enclosed parentheses. Okay, and now let's go ahead and type object sender because we need an object. Object sender, comma, event args, and space e. Okay, and just hit the right arrow button, and then we need two brackets, an open and close bracket. And if you only type the open bracket, it will automatically include the closing bracket. And then from there, we just want to click enter. And let's press enter a few times so that we have some room to write our code. All right. And within this method, uh, we're going to do a for each function. And within the function, we're going to do if statement. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to say for each space, open parentheses, var button, and this okay dot controls dot of this type. Okay, and we need to, I'm not sure what you call this, gator amount, greater than or less than sign, however you want to call it. But we only need the less than. All right, and parentheses. Now we need open and close bracket, press enter, carry the close bracket below, and we're missing something here. We got an error. Oh yeah, okay. So we're missing the greater than and less than. And in here we need the control name button. Oh, come on. There we go. So this right here, this is our variable. We could name this whatever we want to, uh, just as long as it don't have any spaces, okay? So I'm gonna call it button. And this button here, these two buttons are two different things. This is the actual control name, and this is our variable name, okay? So now what we want to do, we want to say, we're going to do a if statement. Okay, so let's go back to form 1. I don't want to get you confused. So like I said before, everything on this user form are considered controls. This label's a control, this text box is a control, and these buttons are controls, okay? Everything is considered a control. So we're doing the button controls right now. So let's go back, and that's what this is, button, the button control. So it's nothing of the same of this button right here. So let's say text box, which is the control text box, but we gave it the name txt. Remember, we gave it the proper name txt, and it will show up right here. Let's double click that. Actually, we need to do, let's delete this. We need to do an if statement. Okay. If parentheses button, the one with the lowercase, that focus. All right, and we're going to need open and close brackets and click enter. Now this right here, if button dot focus, and let's go ahead and run this program, and I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go ahead and click the start button. If you notice here, you would see my cursor highlight everything that it touches. So when I click, for an example, if I click 7 and walk away from it, you would see it's focused. You know, the computer is now focused on that button. So when you do that, I want to run my for each loop, and I want the computer to actually see what I'm doing. If it has that button focus, after I click it, I want it to put the number 7 in this text box right here. So that's what we're trying to accomplish right now. Okay, so let's go back. If button focused, I want it to put it in the text box, that number. I want it to grab that text off that button and put it in that text box. Okay, so we're going to say text box, txt, there it is right there, text box ID dot append text, and parentheses. And what do we want to append? We want to append this button right here. This is the variable button. Okay. Dot text. And then we want to bring it to a string, toString, and more parentheses. And we have an error. Okay, yeah, we're missing a colon at the end. And we still have an error. Why is it giving me an error? Oh, maybe it'll go away. Okay, so let's go ahead and, oh, no wonder we never stopped the program. So let's go ahead and, yep, let's stop it. Yeah, it's always best, after you run a program, make sure it's stopped. So let's go ahead and click start. That line still didn't go away. Something's wrong here. For each for a button. And this. I wonder. Alright. Why does it have that green line? Oh well. Okay, so let's go ahead and give the buttons this method. Let's pass this method to all of our buttons. All right. So let's click on the 8 and go to the properties here, and you see this lightning bolt. Go ahead and click on that lightning bolt, and right here where it says click, and you would see a little box right there off to the right. Go ahead and click on that box, and then you will see the method we created. It says button click. Alright, so let's do this to every last button except the back and the enter button. 7, button click, 9, and so on. 0. Alright, so now when we run this, you see it gives the text box whatever we press. Alright, so now let's go ahead and give this button some code. So when we click the back button, it would delete the last number you entered. Okay, alright, so let's go ahead and close that out. Make sure it's stopped, and we're going to click on the back button, double click it, and it automatically generate our listener. Alright, and let's separate this. I don't want to clutter everything, so let's separate this method. Okay, and let's make some more room here. Now with this here, we're going to do a try and catch. And what try and catch does, it prevents any errors from, from crashing our computer. All right, and we're going to say try. All right, open and close brackets and enter. And at the end of the last bracket, we want to include a catch. And this catch is going to catch the error message. So catch. All right. And if you want to include an exception, we just open exception, EX. Not sure why it's giving me. Oh, okay. So I need an open bracket here. There we go. Need another open and close bracket. All right. So if you notice here, you would see a green scribbly line right here. And what this is, it's letting us know, hey, you made a variable, but you don't. What can we do with this variable? All right. So we can say LBL message. Remember that red message label that we created. Whatever for whatever reason that the computer don't like what we did, and if it gives us an error, it will spit that error out into that label. All right, and we're going to say LBL message dot text equals open parentheses EX dot toString. All right, and more parentheses. And at the end, we're going to put a colon. Close that out. All right. And now, let's go ahead and do our code. What do we want that back button to do? Well, we want it to delete that last number or any other numbers that we accidentally pressed on the keypad. So we're going to say we're going to create a variable, a string variable, string, and we're going to name that variable backspace, back, or you can just say back, but I'm going to say backspace, equals text badge ID. All right, TXT, and again that's the control. We gave that controller name, remember, and we called it text badge ID. That text, and close that out. And then we're going to say, are we going to call that variable up? We're just going to wake it up. We're going to say, okay, backspace equals backspace again, dot remove. And what do we want to remove? We want to remove something from the text box. Whatever's in that text box, we want to grab it, because remember we created that variable. That variable backspace is holding the information in that text box, okay? So we want to say remove, and we're going to open up some parentheses. We want to remove one letter at a time. And in order to accomplish that, you want to say backspace again, dot length, and it's going to grab that entire length. Whatever's in that text box is going to grab everything. And we want to subtract one character from it. All right. So now we're going to close that out. Now we're going to say again text box. Text badge ID dot text equals backspace. I know this is kind of it's like, wow, I'm confused. Well, it's going to copy everything in that text box after you deleted that one syllable, and it's just going to copy it and repaste it back into that text box. Okay, it's going to repaste it back into text badge ID. That's it. All right, so let's go ahead and run this and see what happens. So we're going to say 879, and now, oops, we made an error, so we're going to hit the backspace, and you see it removes it, and so on. If you keep pressing it, it just removes it. Okay. Let's go ahead and close that out. So we are done with that. Now we can we're not going to program the enter button, not just yet, because this requires connecting it to the database. So we're going to skip the enter button, and we're going to go straight to PC name, time, and date. Okay. So let's go ahead and include a functional date, and we're going to drag over a time. Let's see if I can find it here. We need a control. And right there. Yeah, under components, left click on this timer and just drag it over. Okay. And now we want to double click that. Okay, now we're going to be putting some code within this object. Okay. All right. So here we want to say string date equals, and we're going to pass it a format, parentheses. Since we gave it a string, we need to include quotation marks. So we want our date to show the month first, and /, then the date, and / again, and then the year. And let's close this out. Okay. Now we need a string for the time. All right. String again. Time equals, and parentheses, quotes, and we want the time to display this type of format. You want to say H semicolon MM SS space TT. Hours, minutes, seconds, blah blah blah. And the TT is like AM or PM. And let's close this out. Now we want to present this onto our labels. Okay, so if you go back here, we have two labels. We have the time label and we have the date label. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so we're going to say we want the date label. All right, and LBL, we gave it a proper name, LBL date equals, well, what do we want it to equal? We want to pass on our variable date, our date variable date. Oh, I'm sorry. That's a little too soon. So we want to say date, time. Yes, we need to give it the object first. Okay, date time dot now, and then we want to bring it out to string parentheses. Now we can include our variable date. Close that out, and we have an error. Okay, so this is our error. It's saying it cannot convert type string to system. So yeah, this is the system. The system needs to spit out the date, but it don't know whether or not to give it. It just can't convert it. So we need to include something here. Okay, dot text. Okay, because the labels, they only hold text. Okay, they can hold numbers, integers, but then uh, as far as calculating, we need to include integer. But let's not get into that right now. I don't want to confuse you. I'm actually confusing myself. All right, so let's go ahead and do the time label. LBL underscore time, and once again text, that text equals, and again date time dot now dot to string parentheses, and this time we want the time. Okay, and if you notice, the time has that little scribbly green line up under it. Let's go ahead and pass the time variable and close it out. There you go. So now we need to turn this control on. So at the top in our login load, what this does, whenever we load the form, it turns everything on basically. All right, it's like the on switch. So we want to enable that control that's called timer. All right, and go ahead and click on here. Let's give us some room to write our code. So let's go ahead and enable the timer. So the control, let's go back to the form, and this is the control that we want to turn on. Okay, and we want to say timer 1. That's the name of our timer. Dot start. We want to start it and close it out. Something wrong. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Parentheses. All right, now, and we want to set the enable to true. Timer 1 dot enable. It's not giving me. Okay, timer 1 dot enable. Equals true. Why is, oh, you see, this is a difference when you use the capital and the lowercase. All right, now if we run this, we should get some sort of time and date. Let's go ahead and run this. And there it is right there. However, there seems to be a problem with the year. And let's go back and see what's going on with that. We have our time, but our year is not showing up. Alright, let's see what we've done wrong. That is weird. Okay, let me go ahead and pause this and try to figure out what's going on here. I don't want to take up a lot of time. Okay, I am back and I just figured out what I've done wrong. I haven't tested this out yet, but I believe it's because I use all caps for my year. Let's go ahead and change that. 1. Alright, now let's run and see what we get. And there we go. That was the problem. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and close this out. And if you notice here, when we type in the ID, we don't want this to be visible. Alright, we want it to be hidden. So let's go ahead and change that. Alright, let's close out the form. Make sure it's stopped. And let's just go back over to that form, and we want to click on this text box right here. And we need to change this to, we're looking for characters. Yep, password char. And let's give it a symbol. Let's use a star. All right. So now let's run this and see what it does. Okay, so yeah, that's what we were looking for. We don't want that to be visible. All right, let's close this out. Okay, let's go ahead and I believe the only, oh yeah, we need to include the PC name. All right, and let's go ahead and go ahead and program that PC name. So let's go ahead and double click. Let's go ahead and say Uh, I think we need to do it in our login load method. So we gave it PC LBL PC name dot text equals system dot environment parentheses uh, machine. Let's see. No, no, wait, something. Environment dot machine name. Okay, yep, that's what we want. And then we're going to close that. All right, that should work. Hopefully that works. Okay, so now let's go ahead and start this. All right, so there we go. All right, we got our computer name, and it looks like it's running off a little bit. So we just want to move that label. And we just click on PC name, move it on over. Let's center it. No, no, no. Let's do this the right way. Actually, let's do that. Yeah. Let's see if we have time for the database. I don't think so. Okay, so hopefully, maybe later on in my next video, we will be connecting this to the database. Okay. If you have any questions, comments, and please subscribe to the channel and to help it grow. Okay, so thanks for watching.